Hey everybody, welcome back to Trail 89 Adventures. I'm Todd. Today I'm out here running trails in the Rolls OHV area, part of Tonto National Forest. The last video you saw was me showing you what I've done to the interior of my Jeep. Today I'm going to show you all the modifications I've done in the last couple of years on the exterior of my Jeep. And I'm dedicating this video to my dad because my dad is giving me all the technical knowledge and hands-on knowledge and busted up knuckle knowledge to go and do these things on my own. So everything I'm going to show you was done in my garage by myself with my tools. And it's just fun not only being out here, being able to wheel and see the great things that we have to explore out here in Arizona, but also get to work on the Jeep too. And you know what? You make mistakes along the way, and I've certainly have made some of my mistakes along the way. So come along with me as we check out the Jeep today. All right, I'm going to show you a bunch of different things that I did to my Jeep. Now, I bought all these products on my own, spent my own cash on these things. So there's no sponsors on this video. There's no product endorsements. This is just what I bought, and I'm going to share with you the reasons why I bought these things. So let's get started. So in the front of the Jeep, I'm going to start off with the ARB bumper. This is a stubby bumper. I just like the look of it. And one of the reasons I went for this primarily was of how thick this tube is. I just like the fat design of this tube. And I thought that looked cool. So that's one of the reasons I went for it. It is a steel bumper. I've got the Warren VR10S 10,000 pound winch with the Factor 55 Pro Link on there. Now, that actually came free with the winch, so that's why I've got that on there. From the lights, I'll tell you what, these KC Flexera 4 lights, these things are so bright. I would almost say they're stupid bright. That's how bright they are. It lights up everything. Now, I kind of like the look of the slim lights, these 8-inch slim lights. They're not nearly as bright, but they all are LED lights. And then going back to the Flexera 4, this is a combo. So it's got a spotlight and it also has a floodlight. And if you look there at the front, you can see the lens has two different things on the four lights in there. Now, while I've got the hood open, you know, I have this aux beam 8 switch panel for lights and accessories and that. And on the EcoDiesel, it is really hard to find a place to mount this because the engine is so big. It takes up the entire bay that you have. So fortunately, I was able, this is the best spot that I can mount this thing, right above the fuse box. You can see my battery is back here. And then the second battery is below this. So I've got everything wired up into the switch panel. I've got the circuit breaker there for the switch panel as well. And then I've got my winch wired directly up to the battery. So let's check out the front of the Jeep. So the biggest upgrade, lift and tires. And I went with the metalcloak 3.5-inch game changer lift. And the reason that I went with the metalcloak game changer is the diesel engine is so heavy, and metalcloak has springs specifically designed for the diesel engine to support that extra weight. So that is the reason I went with it. It was recommended to me. And so far, after a year of using it, it's been really good. I've had no problems with the lift, knock on wood, whatsoever so far. From a tire perspective, I went with the Baja Boss, the Mickey Thompson Baja Boss. These are 37 by 12.5 by 17-inch tires. And then I went with the Method wheels for it as well. From a shock perspective, I went with the Falcon 3.0 adjustable shocks. And again, these are made specifically for the diesel. And this part here is a little bit shorter than if you were to get it for a gas engine. So again, these are made specifically for the diesel. Now, the other thing regarding the lift is I went with drop brackets on the front and on the rear. I know there's people that say, hey, you're just going to hit rocks with those drop brackets. Haven't had any problem with it. It just corrects the geometry better. You can see my control arms are pretty much level, even with a 3.5 inch lift on there. I've got to do something different with the brake lines. I don't like how that is attached. So more to come on that. The other thing I did is I did upgrade all the steering components, and I went with metalcloak on that as well. So you can see, and I also have this bracket on here to reinforce the steering components. Also have the Falcon adjustable steering piece on there. Now, I've left it on firm ever since I put it in. I haven't even tried the other settings because I just like it on the firm part, and that seems to be working pretty well. I'm going to show you what else I have on the front here. Now, these lights that I have here, these are the first lights that I ever bought for the Jeep, and I think they're nil light or Nye lights. They were super cheap. I needed them to go on a night run with a group, and they serve their purpose. But now I've got them mounted here on the side just to give me some side lighting, especially if I'm out in the woods up in northern Arizona. It's great to have to light up the side of the trail, but I don't really like the look of how these are mounted on here. So this may change sometime soon in the future. I also have here the ditch lights, or the KC Highlights Flex Area 3s, and they work really well. You know, one thing I like about the Rubicon is it comes with the standard rock sliders. Now, you can't go pivot yourself on some rocks with these rock sliders, but I think they look nice because they cover the pinch seam down here on the bottom, and I wanted to keep those. But in order to keep those and get some additional sliders, your options are pretty limited. But I did find a company called Ace Engineering, and that's the one that I went with, because you can keep the standard Rubicon rock slider and add these, and it actually bolts into the body bolts. I know some people will be like, don't bolt them into the body bolts. Well, my options were limited here, and I'm not a crazy rock crawler, so it worked just fine for me. But I like the look of these. You can use it as a step, and it just gives it a good look, keeping the Rubicon slider. You know, the diesel Jeep. Now, many times I've rolled up to a fuel station and I put the diesel nozzle into my Jeep, and people come running up to me. You're putting diesel in there. Yes, I know. It is diesel. It's okay. Now, I've got a rotopack on here. It's empty 99.9% of the time. I did fill it up a few times when I went on some longer trips, and most of the time when I'm out on the trail, I'm the only diesel vehicle out there, so I almost have to fend for myself if I'm running low on fuel. But this is good for, you know, some longer range runs. Again, it's only 2 gallons, not going to get you crazy far, but it very well could get me to the next fuel station that has diesel. And you'd be surprised, some of these remote fuel stations out in the middle of nowhere don't have diesel. So that's kind of a drawback of having the diesel engine. But with this and where I usually roll to, I don't think I'm going to be in too much of a problem. But I have another option that I'm going to show you here in a moment. All right, let's talk about the rear of the Jeep. One of the biggest purchases I made was this aftermarket bumper, and this is the AEV bumper for the Wrangler. Couple reasons why I bought this. First of all, it's got a spot for the license plate, and you can reuse the factory light from your bumper for the license plate. Most of the aftermarket bumpers, you've got to mount the license plate on the back of the spare tire, and I just don't like the look of that. The other thing is there are spots where you can mount the backup sensors into this bumper, and a lot of them don't have that as well. So if you're going to consider an aftermarket bumper, these are some things that you need to think about. The side pieces here these are extremely tough. I've come down and landed on them a couple of times, and they're bolted right into the frame of the Jeep. So there's a lot of protection right there. And the way that they're angled, you have a good clearance off the back. The other thing that sold me on the AEV bumper was the tire carrier. Now it is separate from the bumper. You got to buy all this stuff separate, but it only works with this bumper. And the weight of this 37-inch tire is bolted into the frame of the Jeep, even though it is connected to the door. And when you open the door, it does swing the tire open as well. So it's not separate. They are connected, but the weight of the tire is on the frame of the Jeep, which, you know, when you're cruising trails and you're hitting washboards and that weight of that spare tires flipping back and forth, you want that bolted into the frame of the Jeep. And that was one of the bigger things that I wanted. The other thing here too is you can get an optional fuel caddy that fits in between the back of the door and fills the spot of the hole of the tire, and it holds 10 gallons. So in the future, I may end up getting that fuel caddy too. That would be a cool addition. So I've gotten questions on these panels. I bought them online, and it's some crazy long, ridiculous name that I really don't remember. But if you search rear window panels for a Jeep Wrangler JL, these will probably come up. They are aluminum. They mount into the gutter, and they mount up underneath the hardtop. They work really well. I mounted the Rotopax to the other side, and the main reason I actually bought these was so I could mount some side lights up here on the top. So I like them. It does have a unique look to it, and they work out pretty well. Now, you've seen a few videos where I changed out my GMRS radio antenna, my GMRS radio, and I changed it again even since that video. So now I'm running the Midland stubby antenna, and it works great out on trail runs. It doesn't get tangled up in the trees as you're hitting brush, and it does just fine communicating on the trails with other Jeepers. So that's what I've got running here, the Midland stubby antenna. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap up the exterior modifications that I've done to my Jeep over the past couple of years. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.